Diabetes. How to take control. What if I told you that right now, as you're watching this video, 1 in 10 Americans is walking around with a silent killer in their bloodstream? I'm talking about diabetes, and today we're going to discuss this serious medical condition that can be averted and learn how to live a normal life with this condition. We will learn from real people whose lives were turned upside down, learn the simple tests that could save your life, and discover the foods that are literally poisoning your blood sugar. But here's the thing, this isn't just doom and gloom. Stick around because I'm going to show you exactly how to fight back, prevent this disease, and if you already have it, how to take control and live your best life. Let's dive in. What exactly is diabetes, and why should you care? Simply put, diabetes is when your body can't properly use or make insulin, the hormone that controls your blood sugar. When your blood sugar stays high, it damages your blood vessels, nerves, kidneys, eyes, and heart. We're talking about blindness, amputations, kidney failure, heart attacks, and strokes. Now, let me introduce you to some real people whose lives were changed forever by diabetes. These aren't actors, these are real stories from real people. This is Roger with family. He was 45, married, with a 5-year-old daughter. June 11, 2019 is the day that changed my life forever. This is the day that I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. But Roger's story started years earlier with warning signs he chose to ignore. About 10 years ago is when I first started to notice my A1C was elevated. I started getting readings of 6.26.3. At age 35, I felt I was invincible. After all, diabetes is something you get when you're old, right? Roger experienced 3 critical warning signs: excessive thirst, frequent urination, and extreme fatigus. All I wanted to do was come home from work and sleep. Every night my daughter would say, "Daddy, can we go outside and play soccer? Please Daddy, can we?" All I wanted to do was eat and go to bed. Then there's Ashley James, diagnosed at 31. When Ashley was diagnosed, she was 31 years old and was in complete denial. I just didn't want to accept it. My doctor would go over my treatment plan and I'd fill my prescriptions. But I refused to take my medicine. And here's a wake-up call from a Yale medicine patient who ignored her diabetes for 15 years. Up until I had the mini stroke in November 2021, my diabetes was, as doctors say, completely uncontrolled. I have had a lifelong love affair with sugar, and I ate as much ice cream, candy, and carbohydrates as I wanted. This denial and procrastination led to diabetic retinopathy, peripheral neuropathy, and eventually a mini stroke. Each time I was hospitalized, doctors told me that I was playing with fire and that such high A1C levels were extremely dangerous. But here's the good news. All these people turned their lives around. Roger got his A1C from over 11% down to 6.3% in just 3 months. Ashley became a diabetes educator to help others. The Yale patient finally took control after her wake-up call. So who's most at risk? The statistics might surprise you. Not surprisingly, diabetes rates rise with age. While just 3.6% of adults under 40 have the illness, rates rise to 12.1% for folks ages 40 to 59, and to 20.5% for people 60 and older. But here's the shocker about weight. Nearly a quarter, 24.2%, of obese adults now have diabetes. That's compared to 12.3% of folks who are overweight, but not obese, and 6.8% of normal, underweight adults. Men, listen up. There was a significant gender gap in diabetes rates in 2023. Nearly 1 in 5 men, 18%, had the illness, compared to 13.7% of women. And here's something that shows how much knowledge matters. While about 1 in every 5, 19.6%, of Americans with a high school degree are diabetic, the rate falls to 10.7% for people with a college degree. Now, what are the warning signs you absolutely cannot ignore? 1. Excessive thirst and frequent urination. Your kidneys are working overtime trying to filter out excess glucose. 2. Extreme fatigue. Your cells aren't getting the energy they need. 3. Blurred vision. High blood sugar causes fluid to shift in your eyes. 4. Slow healing wounds. Poor circulation from damaged blood vessels. 5. Unexplained weight loss, type 1, or weight gain, type 2. 6. Tingling or numbness in hands and feet, early nerve damage. If you have any combination of these symptoms, especially if they persist for more than a few days, do not wait. See a doctor immediately. Early detection can literally save your life and prevent devastating complications. Okay, so you're concerned. What tests should you get, and when? Let me break this down in simple terms. The screening guidelines just changed in 2024, and this is huge. New USPSTF and ADA guidelines recommend some adults be screened starting at age 35, and every 3 years thereafter. That's 10 years earlier than the old recommendations. Here's who should get tested right now. Everyone aged 35-70 who is overweight or obese. Anyone with these risk factors, regardless of age. Family history of diabetes. History of gestational diabetes. Polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS. High blood pressure. Physical inactivity. Certain ethnic backgrounds, African American, Hispanic, Native American, Asian American, Pacific Islander. There are 3 main tests, and they're all simple blood tests. 1. A1C test. The A1C test measures your average blood glucose for the past 2 to 3 months. You don't have to fast or drink. Diabetes is diagnosed at an A1C of greater than or equal to 6.5%. 2. Fasting plasma glucose. This test checks your fasting blood glucose levels. Fasting means after not having anything to eat or drink, except water, for at least 8 hours. Diabetes is diagnosed at fasting blood glucose of greater than or equal to 126 mg per deciliter. 3. Oral glucose tolerance test, OGTT. The OGTT is a 2-hour test that checks your blood glucose levels before and 2 hours after you drink a special sweet drink. Diabetes is diagnosed at 2-hour blood glucose of greater than or equal to 200 mg per deciliter. Now here's something critical: prediabetes. Before people develop type 2 diabetes, they almost always have prediabetes, blood glucose levels that are higher than normal, but not yet high enough to be diagnosed as diabetes. The prediabetes ranges are A1C, 5.7% to 6.4%. Fasting glucose, 100,125 mg per deciliter. OGTT, 140,199 mg per deciliter. More than 8 in 10 adults with prediabetes don't know they have it. Now for the best news: type 2 diabetes is largely preventable. And if you have prediabetes, you can actually reverse it. Let me show you how. The landmark Diabetes Prevention Program study proved that lifestyle changes can reduce your risk of developing type 2 diabetes by 58%. Research shows that you can lower your risk for type 2 diabetes by 58% by losing 7% of your body weight, or 15 pounds if you weigh 200 pounds. Exercising moderately, such as brisk walking, 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. Don't worry if you can't get to your ideal body weight. Losing even 10 to 15 pounds can make a huge difference. Remember Bruno from our success stories? His weight had crept to almost 300 pounds. Thanks to several lifestyle modifications, he lost more than 65 pounds and maintained it for nearly 4 years. Today he remains off insulin and off any diabetes medications. For exercise, you don't need to become a marathon runner. Seymour recommends that people with prediabetes try to get at least 150 minutes per week of moderate to vigorous exercise, or aim for 10,000 daily steps. That's just 30 minutes, 5 days a week. Don't underestimate sleep. Sleep deprivation has been shown to increase people's cravings for sugary foods. People with prediabetes should make sure they're getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. Remember Roger? Here's how he transformed his life. In addition to metformin, I decided that night to put myself on a strict low-carb diet. Diet along with exercise enabled me 3 months later to get my A1C back down to 6.3. My fasting glucose was 94, and my cholesterol went from 222 down to 95. When his doctor asked if he could sustain this lifestyle, I showed her a picture of my daughter and said, "Do I have a choice?" I finally realized that if I want to see my daughter walk down the aisle when she grows up, that I needed to change. Alright, let's talk about the elephant in the room. What can you actually eat? I am going to give you the straight truth about diabetes nutrition. Mediterranean diet highlight, first, the gold standard. The Mediterranean diet, which is considered the gold standard for people with prediabetes, with its emphasis on whole grains, lean protein, and healthy fats. Foods to avoid or severely limit. 1. Sugary drinks. We know there is a link between having full sugar fizzy and energy drinks, and an increased risk of type 2 diabetes. Just one of these beverages can take up your entire recommended allotment of sugar for the day, or even several days. 2. Refined carbs. Eating white bread, white rice, sugary breakfast cereals, or other simple starchy foods, known as refined carbs, are linked with an increased risk of type 2 diabetes. 3. Processed meats. The American Diabetes Association, ADA, recommends that people limit their intake of red and processed meat as it may be high in saturated fat and sodium. 4. Saturated fats. Limit foods like full-fat dairy, fatty meats, and processed foods high in saturated fat. Foods to embrace. 1. Whole grains. Whole grains such as brown rice, whole wheat pasta, wholemeal flour, whole grain bread and oats are linked to a reduced risk, so choose these instead. 2. Lean proteins. Try to get your protein from healthier foods like fish is really good for us, and oily fish like salmon and mackerel are rich in omega-3 oil, which helps protect your heart. 3. Non-starchy vegetables. Fill half your plate with these. These vegetables keep you feeling full for longer and provide you with the great tasting nutrients your body needs without as many calories and carbs. 4. Specific superfoods. Including more fruit and vegetables in your diet is linked with a reduced risk of type 2 diabetes. But did you know there are also certain types of fruit and veg that have been specifically associated with a reduced risk? Here's the simplest way to eat. Start with a 9-inch plate and fill half with non-starchy veggies, 1/4 with lean proteins, and 1/4 with quality carbs like starchy vegetables, fruits, whole grains, or low-fat dairy. Eating at the right times is also important. You will want to plan for regular, balanced meals to avoid blood glucose levels that are too high or too low for you. Eating about the same amount of carbs at each meal can be helpful. For weight management, The ADA states that moderate rate reduction of 5% to 10% of your body weight can significantly lower your A1C level. So, for instance, for a person weighing 200 pounds, a weight loss of 10 to 20 pounds could make a difference. If you've already been diagnosed with diabetes, this is not the end of the world. Let me introduce you to some incredible people who are thriving. Jim Cormier was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at 2 months old in 1967. His new insulin pump and CGM, combined with diabetes education, has led to his first ever A1C below 7%. Tiffany Witchen was 11 years old when she was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. In college, Tiffany studied nursing and specialized in pediatric endocrinology. She turned her condition into her calling, helping other kids with diabetes. 6 months after meeting Dr. Michael Thompson for the first time at the UMass Diabetes Center of Excellence, Paul's A1C dropped from above 14% to below 6%. The technology available today is incredible. With continuous glucose monitors, insulin pumps, smartphone apps, managing diabetes has never been easier or more precise. The key is regular monitoring. Know your ABCs. That's A1C, blood pressure and cholesterol. And if you're at risk or have prediabetes, make sure you follow up with your A1C level with a blood test at least yearly. If you've been diagnosed with prediabetes, progressing to diabetes is not a given. Adopting a well-balanced diet, staying active, controlling your weight can put you in control. So here's the bottom line: diabetes affects 38 million Americans, but it doesn't have to affect you. Whether you're trying to prevent it, reverse prediabetes, or manage existing diabetes, you have the power to take control. Here's what I want you to do right now. 1. Get tested, especially if you're over 35 or have any risk factors. 2. Calculate your risk. Take the CDC's prediabetes risk test online. 3. Start small, walk for 10 minutes after dinner tonight. 4. Clean out your pantry, remove all sugary drinks or processed food. 5. Schedule that doctor's appointment you've been putting off. Remember Roger's words. When asked if he could maintain his healthy lifestyle, he showed his doctor a picture of his daughter and said, "Do I have a choice? What's your why?" Your kids, your grandkids, your dreams, your future. Whatever it is, you have the power to change your story starting today. If this video opened your eyes, smash that like button and subscribe for more life-saving health contents. Share this with someone you love. It could literally save their life. And drop a comment below telling me what your first step is going to be. Don't be a statistic. Be the person who took action. I'll see you in the next video, and remember, your health is your wealth. Disclaimer. Before we wrap up, an important disclaimer. The information provided in this video is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered as medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment recommendations. While we've used current statistics from reputable sources like the CDC and American Diabetes Association, individual health situations vary greatly. The testimonials shared are real experiences from real people, but results may vary and should not be considered typical outcomes. If you suspect you may have diabetes or prediabetes, are experiencing any symptoms mentioned in this video, or have questions about your health, please consult with a qualified healthcare professional immediately. Do not delay seeking medical care based on information from this video. Always work with your doctor, registered dietitian, or certified diabetes educator before making significant changes to your diet, exercise routine, or medication regimen. This video does not replace professional medical consultation, diagnosis, or treatment. Stay informed, stay healthy, and remember, when it comes to your health, always consult the experts.